Welcome back. So one of the truths that I know, that I've learned and I've experienced over my lifetime is that all success begins and ends in the mind. And we hear that a lot. Believe it and you'll achieve it. You have to visualize it, keep your eyes on the prize. We hear this message so much that it's almost become a cliche. But here's the thing, it's actually true. Once you create a clear vision for yourself, and the vision is the starting point for a strong mind. Once you have in your mind the vision of who you want to become and how you want to live in this world, almost like magic, opportunities seem to just sort of come your way, information comes your way, and it's a powerful tool to help you get ahead. A clear vision of what you want to achieve and a strong mind to help you get there. I'm going to give you two examples to sort of teach this lesson. A couple of years back, I had the opportunity to drive a hybrid car for the first time. Now, initially, it was the craziest experience to me because I had never been in a car that didn't require a key that turns, right? It was a hybrid car, and the purpose of this car, I guess, is to save energy. But in any event, when you get into the car, instead of turning the key, you have to push the button. Now, it wasn't my idea to get a hybrid car. One of my brothers had the bright idea of buying this car and wanted me to learn how to drive it. So I was like, okay, cool. I get in the car and I'm immediately just freaked out because I'd never experienced anything like that. I started to learn how to drive this car. I started to get comfortable with it. And then within 2 weeks, after never having seen a hybrid car in my life, I started to see them everywhere. And they all were the exact same hybrid car that I had, gray. I won't mention the brand. And what I realized in that moment, right, when you start to see things everywhere, up until that point, I had never seen a hybrid car that looked exactly like the one that I was driving. But because I saw it now, I had the experience of driving it, my mind was attuned to it. And so then after that point of driving it for the first time, my eyes were naturally drawn to it. Your vision plays the same role in your life. It directs you, it guides you. It tunes your mind to what it is that you want to accomplish. And sometimes, whether you're aware of it or not, it brings opportunities towards you that can help you be successful. Here's a second story, and this is really emotional for me, but I want to share this with you. So my parents came to this country in the 60s. They immigrated from the Democratic Republic of Congo, used to be called Zaire. And when they came here, they came with my older siblings and myself. They subsequently, after that, had a total of 8 children. Growing up in this country as children of immigrants, if you have this experience, it'll make sense to you, was tough, okay? We got bullied all the time. People wanted to fight us all the time. We weren't treated very kindly, really, by anybody. And because my parents were not familiar with this country, they really kept to themselves. And so in addition to being isolated from the general population, we experienced a lot of poverty. I was the first of my family on either side to be born on this soil in the United States. And up until that point, nobody from our family had traveled outside of Congo. So my parents were sort of trying to figure everything out while at the same time raising their children, while at the same time trying to make sure that we maintained our culture. So we didn't have much. We stood together a lot. That's why to this day my family is very close. And again, we lived at the poverty level. So much so that there were times when we had to share shoes. I shared shoes with my sister for about 2 years, and we don't wear the same size, so it was a little painful. There were times when we didn't have running water in the house. There were times when we didn't have electricity in the house. And I remember one year when we actually had to borrow water from our neighbors just to do basic things. So that was my normal. That was my reality. Those were the circumstances that I was growing up in. One day, I'll never forget it. After school, we were sitting around the table. I think there were 6 of us. We weren't quite 8 at the time. And my father, out of the blue, said, "My children, you are going to change the world." Now, if you have old school parents, or if you are children of immigrants such as I am, you know that you don't talk back to grown folks. You just sit and smile and nod your head, right? So, oh, it's time to take out the trash? Okay. Time to wash the dishes? Okay. My children are gonna change the world? Okay. Now, mind you, in my head, I'm thinking, how are we gonna change the world? We don't have electricity. How are we gonna change the world? We barely have the resources. We barely have money to pay for school, to pay for lunch, to do the basic things. And I know my older sister, Musa, because she was sitting across from me, she was thinking the same thing. And so, well, we didn't say anything. You, my children, you are going to change the world. He said this to me when I was 13. That was over 40 years ago. I remember it like it was yesterday. After my father said that, I remember it. We left the table and we went on about our business. What I didn't realize was that he was speaking that vision for himself, for his children. That was his vision for us. And from that point on, every single decision that my father made was in service to his vision for where his children were going to go, how his children were going to be. Every school that we went to, choosing our friends, choosing our activities, everything was in service to my father's vision that his children were going to change the world. So much so that when I was in high school, one of my friends, Caroline, invited me to her confirmation. It's a religious ceremony for young people that are coming of age. And my father gave me the third degree. Who's going to be there? What's going to be, really wanted to know who was going to be there, what the program was going to be, because he wanted to make sure it was consistent with his vision. My father knew that education was important, so he enrolled my older sister and myself in an accelerated high school program. The program, rather than having high school in 4 years, we had it in 1 year, because he felt that that would get us a jump start and get us out into the world earlier. So we were like, okay, Daddy said we're going to this accelerated program, and that's where we decided to go. Well, after my sister graduated, my father changed his mind, and he decided that the education wasn't rigorous enough, the books were not challenging enough, and he didn't feel that we were intellectually challenged enough. So what did he do? He enrolled us in another high school. Now, mind you, my sister thought she was on her way to college, and my father was like, oh, no, we're going to try this over here. So he enrolls us in a private high school, one of the most difficult schools to get into, and one of the most challenging schools to matriculate through. It was hard, but we did it. So fast forward, he's putting us in these places, he's making these decisions. You can't go here, you must go there, all because he was guided by a vision. He wasn't detracted, he wasn't discouraged by his present circumstances. My father, a PhD from Harvard University, a THD, a Doctor of Theology from the University of Sorbonne in Paris, at certain points in his career had to sell flowers on the corner of the street in Boston, Massachusetts, because he couldn't get a job to feed his family. But this man, who couldn't feed his family all the time, held on to this vision. So when we fast forward and you look at the accomplishments of my siblings, it's in line with his vision. I have a brother who has a master's and a PhD who's traveled the world teaching. He's a professor now, and also a commentator on the news, a very public figure. I have a sister who other people told she couldn't dance, other people told she didn't have any talent. 27 years ago, she founded a performing arts company that still exists to this day, and she has taken young people all around Africa and Europe teaching. I have a brother who had a stuttering problem, who is now a 5th degree black belt and also an educator. I could go down the list. And I'm not sharing this to say that my siblings are so special, because we're not special. Nobody's special, because we were all endowed with the same things when we got here. But this is a testimony to the importance of having a vision. Once you have a clear, distinct vision of who it is that you want to become, it becomes your GPS. It directs you. In the absence of your vision, you don't have a chance of really having real success. You're going to walk around with your fingers crossed, hoping things are going to work out. So if you want to maximize success, you must get your mind right, which means have a clear, distinct vision of who you want to become, not what you want to have. Hear me. Because oftentimes people, when they think about growing up and being successful, they think about the material things. I want to have a car, I want to have some money, I want to have a big house, etc., etc., etc. And there's nothing wrong with material things. However, if you lock your success, your vision of your success, into those material things, one of two things can happen. Either you get them and you lose them, and then you feel like a loser because you've attached your identity, you've attached your self-esteem to those things, or you never get them. When you create your vision, focus on who you want to become. What kind of person do you want to become? When I was younger, I knew I wanted to become a person of service. I wanted to be a person who was creative, right? I never attached myself to material things because we didn't have any in the first place. So I didn't really have a point of reference, but I knew who I wanted to become. And over the course of my career, I've changed careers, I've changed jobs, I've changed positions, I've started and stopped many businesses. But what I've held on to is my vision. And my vision is meant to give me, your vision is meant to give you choices, not chains, right? So when you're clear about your vision, who do you want to become? What kind of person do you want to become? How do you want to feel about your life? How do you want to feel about yourself? That's the starting point for success in any aspect of your life. Get your mind right. Get clear about your vision. Have an understanding of what your purpose is. Have an understanding of what your calling is on your life, and allow that to be the GPS. Allow that to be the guiding purpose. Allow that to be your guiding light. So as you go forward, if you veer a little to the right, if you veer a little bit to the left, if you have a few mistakes, if you fall off like I have, your vision will pull you forward. Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith says that pain pushes you until the vision pulls you. Oftentimes when people start things, when they're starting a business or they're starting relationships or they want to make a big change, it comes from a place of pain, or it might come from a place of anger. And I always say anger can't sustain a movement. But when you get your vision and you get clear about who it is that you want to become, that vision will pull you forward. That vision will direct you. It's the starting place of the life that you want to live. It's the foundation of the success that you want to have. So, want to be successful? The first step, get your mind right. A clear, distinct vision of the person that you want to become, and that will put you in the right direction. Now that we're clear about what a vision is, it's time for you to do your work. I want you to grab your workbook, grab the journal, open to the section where we talk about vision, review the guidelines, review some of what we talked about just now, and go do your homework. We're asking you questions about your vision for your health and wellness, for your finances, for your relationships, etc. Now's the time to put what we just talked about into practice. And keep in mind, when my dad was making his vision for his family, for his vision for myself and my siblings, he wasn't distracted by or discouraged by what he saw in the now. His present circumstances did not keep him from creating a huge vision for his children in the future. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing. No matter what you're going through right now, you could be having the best time of your life, you might be going through a difficult time right now. Don't allow your present circumstances to keep you from creating a big vision for yourself. You have the right to live a life of abundance and joy and peace. You have the right to live a life of success on your terms. So when you think about who it is that you want to become, when you think about how it is that you want to live on this earth, think big, because you deserve it, all right? Go do your homework, and I'll see you in the next session.